The single story creates stereotypes. And the problem with stereotypes is not that they are untrue, but that they are incomplete. They make one story become the only story.
My name is Alex Zhang, and I'm from San Jose. I'm 19.
What would you say is the one thing people will say about where you come from?
They say it's the capital of Silicon Valley, so it's a very tech-oriented place. It's kind of where computers are built, I guess. I think recently that's the main thing about San Jose.
And do you find that's true?
Yeah, pretty much. All of the people I know, their parents, their siblings, or everyone else, they're involved in technology and computers. That definitely seems to be the case.
And what was the image you had of Berkeley before you came here?
My image definitely came from like those videos from the 70s where you had a lot of protests going on. I thought it was a very, very liberal area. It's a pretty liberal area, but there are people with different opinions, definitely. It's not like just one track, for sure. There are a lot of, I know there's like a Republican club on campus. That surprised me, so.
I grew up in Ithaca, New York. Okay. People always think of gorges in Ithaca because there's these deep gorges, and they think of Cornell. I guess just Cornell is a big part of Ithaca. So my dad was a Cornell professor, and lots of kids in Ithaca are there because their parents are associated with the university. And I'm typical in the sense that I then went to Cornell because my dad got a deal. And it's a state school as well. There's a state school side of it. So I guess I'm typical of one sect of the Ithacan population. There's also a good white wine country in Ithaca and a lake. In terms of people categorizing folks from Ithaca, I guess it's sort of like Berkeley. It's a little hippie bubble kind of town. I'm not sure I had too much of a perception about Berkeley, except for sort of the social movement and the organic movement. I just assumed that it was a positive place and a good place to be, and I wanted to check it out. I don't know, I live in San Francisco, and this is my first semester here, so I don't know Berkeley too well, actually. But it seems like a great place.
Thank you.
Oh, I'm from Yokohama, Japan, and I am 39 years old.
Okay.
I can't really think of anything. Well, it's usually the other way around. I was called up to the stage once when I went to Disneyland, and they asked me where I was from, and at that time I had visited from Philadelphia. So I said, I'm from Philadelphia, and he said, no, where are you from? And I got it, and I was like, yes, I'm from Japan. So that was a little annoying. I may buy into some of this stereotype, like there's a lot of African-American people, and then it might be poor, and then which seems to be true in some areas. But I like Philadelphia, and so far no one has really said anything negative about Philadelphia that has pissed me off.
So I'm from Melbourne in Australia, and I'm 28 years old. Oh gosh, I don't know if they bother me. I'm usually one of the first people to agree with them. I live in Edinburgh now. I haven't lived in Australia for a few years, and people say that Australians drink a lot and that they're very loud, and that we're quite laid back and stuff, which is all true. And I guess Australians have a really good reputation in the United Kingdom for being very hard workers as well. So we may party really hard, but we also work really hard, compared to the British anyway. So I asked one of my colleagues about Berkeley, and he said, "Oh, you'll love it, it's full of hippies." And
That's not
it was a very strange thing for him to say. But yeah, when I turned up, I was expecting to see loads of people in tie-dye and, I don't know, just a big town full of hippies. But when I got here, it's a regular town, and everybody's really friendly, and I was expecting more sunshine, but that's all right. So yeah, my perception of Berkeley is completely different to what I was expecting.
my perception of Berkeley as a physicist was that this is a plane where all the big physicists are here. I didn't really think of it in terms of culture, so I'm not really sure if I could answer your question in the way that you expect. But it's true. I mean, they have a huge physics department. They have a lot of professors here that are excellent, and I'm very happy to be here.
Well, yeah, I think that there's a narrative about the Bay Area, about the free speech movement and the civil rights movement that continues to color people's opinion of the Bay Area and its politics and the opinions of the people that live here. Well, sometimes it's useful, other times it's not useful, and I think a lot of people are fighting old battles. So I do think that there is a narrative of that sort that in the Bay Area. There is a stereotype about what people's opinions in the Bay Area will be on a whole variety of topics. In the same way that I'm sure people here have stereotypes about what people in Texas might think, or people in New Orleans, or wherever. And so it's hard to quantify, but I think that's a real issue. Yeah. The Berkeley has a outsized reputation. People know something. They think they know something about Berkeley all over the world, and what exactly that means to them, I don't know. But it's uncommon for a town of this size. We have a very important university here. It does important work. There are some important history. It's in a beautiful place. Other than that, it's hard to pin down. There's too much going on here.
I think that Berkeley people are open-minded and pretty liberal in their policies, but I think that there's a lot more diversity in Berkeley than people might expect, even for the Bay Area. And that also Berkeley is interesting because it's got a much older crowd to it than I necessarily would have expected. Aside from the students, a lot of the population is kind of aging hippies. They're older. And the young people don't necessarily have those same values. So it's changing. It's interesting. I'm from Texas. I think people assume that Texans are all Republicans and have dramatic policies that are in line with the Bush administration, which isn't necessarily true.
I'm from Taipei, Taiwan, originally. I'm 21 right now. Mostly that I've heard is we have good food, and we're Chinese, but we're like the liberal kind of Chinese in comparison to mainland China.
And if all I knew about Africa were from popular images, I too would think that Africa was a place of beautiful landscapes, beautiful animals, and incomprehensible people fighting senseless wars, dying of poverty and AIDS, unable to speak for themselves, and waiting to be saved by a kind white foreigner. Start the story with the failure of the African state and not with the colonial creation of the African state, and you have an entirely different story. The consequence of the single story is this: it robs people of dignity. It makes our recognition of our equal humanity difficult. It emphasizes how we are different rather than how we are similar. Thank you.